Texting. Are you up? Are you awake? Are you awake? Welcome to the Sack and the Witching Hour, Friday night, Saturday morning. You know, it's all blurred up and hazy. I'm not quite sure where it is. Welcome to IDD. For those of you in the know, I don't disagree. The highly questioned one. RJ Miliaccio flying solo tonight on a freestyle Friday, the redoubtable one. Had a performance tonight to go see his daughter Maddie was performing. Hopefully she did well, fingers crossed. We will see him back soon. So I am flying solo tonight. Segment 1, NBA recap. Hey. Don't look now, but the Boston Celtics might just be for real. And I know what you're thinking. They're 46-12. How could they not be for real? Well, first of all, they're now 47-12. And when I say for real, I mean for real in this sense. Not they're a contender. They've been a contender. Okay, not they're very talented. They're the most talented damn team in the league. This is now going on year 3. That's not it. No. This team, dare I say, might just be growing up finally before our eyes. And again, I say might because there's still 20 games to go, give or take 21. There's a lot of ball left to be played. There's a quarter of the season left to be played. But what happened tonight, much like the other night against Philly, cannot be ignored. And tonight was different because tonight's opponent, the Dallas Mavericks, had all of their guns. And they came in on fire. For those of you who don't recall 48 hours ago, they were in Cleveland. They outplayed the Cavaliers up until the last 2 minutes of the game. And Cleveland is currently number 2 in the East, traveling Boston by 9 games, whatever it is now. And it took a 59-foot shot for Cleveland to beat Dallas. Well, that didn't happen tonight. For those of you not aware, it was the first game of the ESPN doubleheader. Boston systematically took apart a much improved Dallas Mavericks team, despite a monster triple-double from Luka Doncic, who at times tonight, dare I say it, reminded me of old Larry Joe, or Larry Legend to those of you in the Boston area. There were times tonight when he looked that good against a very, very, very good defense. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter because Boston rolled to a very, very convincing and, dare I say, statement game, 138-110. And when I say statement, Luka Doncic had, I believe it was, if we're looking at the box score here, which we're going to, he had 37 points on 14 of 25 shooting. He had 12 rebounds and he had 11 assists in 37 minutes. And it didn't matter, okay? Because at the end of the day, this Boston team is in fact a team. And they were the only team coming in ranked to the top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency and points scored and points allowed. They're number 1 in the NBA in rebounding. They're number 1 in block shots. And Boston tonight got 32 points and 8 rebounds from Jason Tatum, 25 points and 7 rebounds from Jaylen Brown. There's your 1-2 punch. 24 points, 6 rebounds and 2 blocks from Porzingis. 13 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds from Derek White, 11 points, 7 assists from Jrue Holiday, and 32 points from the bench, highlighted by Al Horford's 12 points and 8 rebounds, and Peyton Pritchard's 10 points and 1 assist, 2 rebounds. Translation, this team is for real. And they are for real because they are, in fact, a team. And yes, they took 43 3-pointers tonight, but they hit 21 of them, and they were methodical in doing it. And with the exception of one stretch there in the third quarter where they kind of had some poor shot selection, for the most part, the shot selection was very good all night. Because while they took 43 threes, they took 94 shots total. So more than half were inside the paint. They shot 55% from the floor, and they went 13 for 13 from the line. They only had 9 turnovers. They had 33 assists. And they won the rebounding battle by 5. They took this team apart systematically, and at the end of the day, Luka Doncic, for everything he did, had no choice but to throw his hands up and shake his head. Because at the end of the day, he was irrelevant. And it's not every day a guy who has 37, 12, and 11 is irrelevant. Unless that team is this latest rendition of the Boston Celtics. They got to 2 points in the third quarter, Dallas did. Had the ball with a chance to take the lead. They missed that shot. And then Jason Tatum became Jason Tatum again. And he didn't wait for anyone to tell him. He just decided it was time to take over, and he did. And down went the Dallas Mavericks faster than a Mike Tyson punch because they never recovered. Okay? It was 12 at the end of 3, and they ended up losing by 28. Okay? Because finally Jason Kidd, who's a great coach, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest point guards ever, realized at 124 to 103, there's nothing he can do. It's over. And he pulled the dogs with about 4 minutes to go. So, what do you take away from this tonight? This is the beginning of a very grueling stretch for the Boston Celtics. I would argue their most difficult stretch of the season because it started tonight with a Dallas team that had come in on fire. And when I say on fire, again, they had lost. They lost that game at the buzzer the other night in Cleveland, who's the number 2 seed in the East. Good team, so no shame in that. But when you look at what they had done just as of recently coming in, they had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They'd won 9 of their last 11 games. They lost at Indiana, playoff team, and they lost at Cleveland. Those were only 2 losses before tonight. Okay? So they had won 9 out of 11. They were hot. Offense has improved. They made some trades at the deadline. They're better inside. They have a big man there, Lively, that kid's talented. He's good. They're not a two-man show. They're not. The Celtics held Kyrie Irving in check. He only had 19 points, so they knew they couldn't stop them both, so they picked their poison. They figured Doncic alone is not going to beat us, and they were right. Okay? But they kept Kyrie Irving below 20 points, and Kyrie would have had to score 40 for this to be a game tonight, and he wasn't going to do that because they weren't going to let him. He was 9 of 23, and they harassed him all night. Okay? So, again, the question is, what do you take from this? What do I take from this? They've won 10 in a row. That's the longest winning streak by any team in the NBA this far this season. And this game tonight starts a brutal stretch. On Sunday, our old friends come into town, the Golden State Warriors, who Boston lost to earlier this season. They blew a 17-point lead in the second half out there. This is also the team that prevented them from winning Title A team when they gift-wrapped it to them 2 years ago to the tune of 40 turnovers in 2 games, which led to 49 points. That one's been beaten to death. But hopefully not in the minds of this Celtic core. Because to get over this hurdle, they got to slay their nemesis. And that nemesis is coming in on Sunday. And they are also on a roll lately. After that, they go to Cleveland, who's in second. Then they go to Denver on Thursday night. So this is the next week for the Boston Celtics. Okay? Starting, like I said, with Golden State. And then Cleveland. And then Denver. If I can get to the Celtics here for a minute, I can tell you what this horrific stretch looks like. Because it is horrific for most teams. But right now, again, they've won 10 in a row. Golden State, at Cleveland, at Denver, at Phoenix, who's currently, I think they're in the 4th or 5th spot or 6th spot. Then they go to Portland, then they go to Utah, then they come home for Phoenix. Pretty tough run before they get a break with Washington, Detroit, and then they got Milwaukee at home. So this next week is going to tell us a lot. If tonight was any indication, this next week I'm looking forward to because I want to see this team continue on the path it's going. Because it literally, when I said earlier, it's growing up before our eyes. It really looks like it is. Because Dallas hit them with everything they could in that first half, and Luka did everything he could. And the Celtics just basically went from 4th to 5th. Because they have a 5th gear, and they might have a 6th gear. I'm hoping they do. But for the first time tonight, I heard an announcer mention the Bird Celtics. This starting 5 looks eerily similar to the original Fab 5 of Bird, Ainge, DJ, McHale, and Parrish. You can't leave anybody. And that's what Richard Jefferson, who was the one who uttered those words, he said, you can't leave anybody in this lineup. You can't leave anybody. This offense is on the verge of being a historically great offense. He's saying we haven't seen an offense this good in the last 10 years. This being Richard Jefferson. Now, again, I don't know how many times he's seen them up close, but after watching what they did when Dallas got it to one, again, Dallas was coming in hot. Okay, the Celtics just went psst, and made it look easy. Okay, that's the sign of a good team. When they take apart another good team who's playing well and they make it look easy. And they did tonight from the halfway point at third quarter on when Jason Tatum took over. Tatum had 11 points in the half. He had 21 in the second half. He went 0 for 3 from the three-point line the first half. He went 5 for 7 in the second half. Okay, but he also went to the basket. He beat them every way he could beat them. Inside, outside, mid-range, didn't matter. Okay, and Porzingis did the same thing, and so did Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, by the way, I don't know if you saw this. Jaylen Brown made a basket tonight that if it's not the number one play on SportsCenter, I'll be shocked. He comes in on the left side. He goes up in the air. He gets bumped. He does a 360, puts it in his left hand, goes off the glass, gets knocked to the floor. No foul call. It was one of the. It was. Here it comes again. It was Jordan-esque, and when you see it, that's probably what you're going to think. Jaylen Brown had a hell of a night tonight, and he locked down Kyrie Irving for the most part. And when he had to do his part, he got them off started. When Tatum started slow, Jaylen Brown and Porzingis took over until Tatum got his legs under him. And once he did, it was just, I'll tell you, this team complements each other very well. In that third quarter, when they made the decisive run, Derek White had his fingerprints all over it. Okay, he had 5, he had a 3 and a 2, and he had 8 assists in that decisive, or 4 assists in that decisive run that broke Dallas's back. They hit Dallas from everywhere, from every angle. Peyton Pritchard, corner threes. Al Horford, blocking shot. They had 8 blocks tonight, by the way. I mean, they hit them from every angle. Dallas didn't know what hit them and didn't know what to stop first because it came from everywhere. And you could see them break. They broke. And Dallas has been playing very well. It was going to take a lot to break them, and Boston broke them. Okay? Now, if I'm Dallas, look, that's the best team in the NBA right now. They're in home. They've won 10 in a row. They have the best record at home. There's no shame in losing like that because that team is that good right now. But still, it was a 2-point game midway through the third quarter, and all of a sudden, Boston hit them with something that I haven't seen around here in a long time. Okay? I haven't seen a Celtic team do something like that in a long time. So, again, it was a great win tonight. Joe Mazzulla, again, pushed all the right buttons. He needs to be commended because if we're going to criticize him when we think he screws up, we've got to commend him when he does well, and he's doing well. He is pushing every button right. Okay? He doesn't have them just settling for threes. Again, there was 1 or 2 stretches in that game where I thought they got a little carried away with it. But for the most part, they were methodical. Okay? They made the extra pass. 33 assists on 52 baskets is nothing to sneeze at. Okay? They were looking for each other. And to me, Derek White having 8 assists and Holiday having 7 assists, and they're both playing defense too. I'm telling you, that backcourt, they're Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge. I don't think it's, again, I don't think Danny Ainge might be a better shooter than both of them, but they're both better defenders than Ainge was. DJ was the one who was a really great defender and good shoot. Ainge was a really good three-point shooter. He really was. These two weren't as good as him. But they're good. They're damn good. And but they play on both ends, and they're relentless. And I mean, they are relentless. And if they get beat on a play, they don't give a shit. They shake it off, and they play for the next play. Same thing with Porzingis. Same thing with Tatum and Brown. This team is growing up before our eyes. And Al Horford, 12 points, 8 rebounds off the bench. Big block that really, in the middle of that run. I mean, Boston dominated this game from the midway point on through the rest of it till they made Dallas say uncle. And it was very impressive starting off this stretch. Now, here's the thing. Sunday to me just got bigger, okay? Because the Golden State Warriors have been on a run lately, okay? They're playing well also. That game is at 3:30. It's on national TV. ABC will be covering it. Just a quick, Golden State, by the way, won tonight on the road to Toronto. They won 120-105 in Toronto tonight. So right now, if we look at their schedule, they are, not the stats, the schedule. They have won 7 road games in a row. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They've won 11 of their last 13 games. Their lone loss in there versus Denver and versus the Clippers, who are 2 of the top 3 teams in the West. Those are the only 2 losses in this stretch. They've won 11 of their last 13. So they are coming in hot right now. Okay? The Boston Celtics have to exercise a demon on Sunday. Because they don't, it's not just about winning. They have to beat this team like they beat Dallas tonight. They've got to put them down. They blew it with the Lakers last month. But since that game, they played great basketball. So they've learned from their lesson. Okay? But, at least I think they have. But this team Sunday, this is the team that's been in their way and has poked them every time they've started to turn a corner. Kind of funny how that's worked with this team since the finals. When Steph Curry apparently told the former Celtic after the Celtics went 2-1, enjoy your last win, and then went out and backed it up. And Tatum and Brown did nothing to stop it. Well, that was 2 years ago. Since then, they've had a heartbreaker in Miami coming back from 3 down and blowing it in Game 7. This Celtics team, should not only be maturing, it should be bitter. It needs to be bitter and angry. It needs to play with a bit of anger. And it looked like in that third quarter, they looked like they turned that switch and got a little bit more, all right, nice is over. They look like they're starting to get, dare I say, the one thing that I don't know that they have is a mean streak in them. See, Marcus Smart had a mean streak. And that was what I endeared most people to him. He had that, he just wasn't very smart up here when it came to, situational basketball. But when he was kind of the leader in that locker room, now it's Tatum and Brown. It's their turn. It's their team now. They've got to get a bit of in them. Because to win a championship, to be a champion, you got to have a bit of a mean streak in you. And if you can't get mad at this team coming after everything that they've done to you over the past 2.5 years, you don't get it. You flat out don't get it. This should be a game they circled. It should be a game that they circled. So anyway, that's going to be Sunday at 3:30, and then they go out. They have Cleveland Tuesday, and then Denver, the big rematch on Thursday night. So just looking at the current, just so we know where we are tonight. By the way, as we're talking, quick update. Milwaukee is in Chicago. Chicago right now is in the 9th playoff spot. Milwaukee is currently in the 3 spot, half a game behind Cleveland, who I think will believe won tonight. But Milwaukee's taking care of Chicago. There's only 4:49 to go. They're up 16, 105-89. They're going to knock off the Bulls tonight in Chicago. That'll be 6 in a row for the Bucks, who are suddenly streaking. They see them at the end of this run. So out west, Golden State has moved into the 9th spot. They are 32-27. They actually have a winning record on the road at 16-12, so they're not to be taken lightly. They are a game and a half behind Dallas for the 8th spot. They are tied with LA. They're both 9-10. They can flip-flop right now. So Golden State needs this game too. So because they're trying to build something here. And having come in 11 of 13, they're on a roll. This is Boston's chance to really give them a little payback. A little like, yeah, you're done. Get this pipe dream out of your head. Boston needs to not just beat these guys, they need to put them down. Much like they did to the Mavericks tonight. And again, they're playing well right now. Klay Thompson coming to the bench has found a role. He's doing well. Kuminga's doing well. Draymond Green is healthy. He's playing better. This team's coming in. They're playing well. This is not going to be an easy game on Sunday. And Golden State, in the back of their minds, still thinks they're living rent-free in Boston's head. Boston has to put that baby to bed on Sunday and not just beat them. They got to beat them like they beat the Mavericks tonight. And they have more incentive to because Dallas didn't take anything from them. Golden State did. So actually, Boston gift-wrapped it for them, which would make them even more angry. Okay? So we'll see what happens on Sunday. They are 3:30 ABC. Boston and Golden State rematch of the finals 2 years ago, and this stretch goes on. But as for tonight, I was very happy with what I saw. I've got no complaints. Just keep it going. Keep it going. And, Tatum said something recently about living in the present, staying present, and not getting caught up in what people are starting to say about you. And he's right. He's right. They got to live in the moment. But what Sunday is about, Sunday's not about just the moment. Sunday's about a little bit of payback. They got to exercise this demon. Golden State Warriors are in their head until they prove otherwise. And a 20, 30-point blowout on Sunday would be wonders to the soul to say, wow, they really blasted them. They need to blast them on Sunday and say, hey, that's over now. Your time is done. It's ours now. This could be the unceremonious, the unofficial passing of the torch if Boston takes this game as seriously as I hope they do. Because on paper, Golden State shouldn't stay with them. Golden State shouldn't have stayed with them 2 years ago either. And they took a title from them. Actually, Boston handed it to them on a silver platter. So we'll see what they have learned. But for tonight, thumbs up, 10 in a row. Kudos to everyone in that locker room. Kudos to the head coach. Kudos to Brad Stevens. He's built this roster out. That bench was on display tonight. This kid Tillman's the real deal. He was a good pickup. He's going to help him. Brad Stevens continues to push all the right buttons in the front office. He keeps adding to this roster, and it's complementary pieces, which is really good. He knows what this roster needs. He's got a pulse on it. He's been very good, and this Tillman kid's just a late example of it. So that's going to do it for segment 1. We'll come back segment 2. Giggle Smoke Guarantee, college basketball weekend preview, and the updated top 25 list, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you in a very, 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 very short period.